So we've got some of the biggest, most beautiful tailed goldfish you'll ever see in your life. Now I've just tested the water and the pH is slightly alkaline, which is good. The KH is 5, which is good. The GH was 8, which is good. The ammonia is 0, which is good. Nitrite was 0, which is good. And then there is some nitrate in there, but not too much. So doing a water change to reduce the nitrate is a good idea, but all in all, the water quality is actually very good. Now, one thing that's overly sad is the herpes virus is quite common with goldfish. Now, if you ever see these growths on the goldfish like that growth, it's really worth getting a vet to check it out, because it could just be a growth, but there's also a very high chance that it's actually a herpes virus. And if it is a herpes virus, then it would be a good idea not to add any fish to this fish, because it's potentially contagious. Just like 50% of humans have herpes. And when the when the people are healthy and happy, the herpes is not a real big problem. But when their immune system is down, the herpes can be an issue, and that's exactly the same with the fish. So nice, healthy, happy fish like this, they're not even worried about the herpes virus, but if they do get sick, then it adds to their stress. Now this fella has been sitting on the bottom and having swim bladder issues for quite some time. Now this is not so rare with goldfish, and swim bladder issues are fairly common because of the way they're bred. They're bred laterally compressed, so often there isn't the right room for their swim bladder. So the fish can be otherwise totally healthy, but can have significant buoyancy issues, and that's just due to the breeding of the fish, because none of these fish are natural fish. These fish are all bred by humans, and malfunctioning swim bladders is something that's synonymous with this species. Now this would be one of the fanciest goldfish tanks you'll ever see in your life. It has a roller mat, it has marine pure, and it has very, very high quality everything. As far as goldfish tanks go, this is about as pimped up as you can get. Now, considering this is a goldfish aquarium with such big, beautiful fish, I am absolutely shocked how clean the gravel is. So I'm doing a gravel clean at the moment, and it is unusually clean. They feed very good food. So the key to fish keeping is 50% water quality. In this case, the water quality is excellent, and it's 50% food quality. And you do not beat Danichi. That's about the best food you can buy. Now this tank has got some fake plants in it. It's got some silk plants and some plastic plants. Now, they only tend to last for a couple of years until they hag up and need to be replaced. And it's really good to replace them on a semi-regular basis, because it gives the fish something new to explore and helps to keep you interested by creating a new environment for you to watch. In the meantime, if you put these out in the sun for a day or so, then flip them over, leave them for a day or so. Often you'll get some more life out of them. But you do have to be prepared to replace your fake plants on semi-regular basis to make it look nice. And there's some beautiful big strychnia here, which is growing surprisingly well considering there's big goldfish in the tank, because normally big goldfish is just gonna mow all that down. So I'm very impressed. So now I'm not seeing a flipper, but if it was up to me, I would get a Flipper Max ASAP. It's like a magnet with a razor blade, and it makes cleaning the glass so simple. So no matter what aquarium you have, I would highly recommend that you get a Flipper Max. It just makes cleaning an absolute breeze. So if there's not one here, I recommend you get one. So now I'm just going to give the lids a good clean, because when you get a whole lot of junk build up under the lids, it really affects the color of the water. It makes the color of the water discolored because you're looking through all that algae. So there's a whole bunch of algae there, and that will discolor your tank. So giving your lids a good clean regularly is a very good idea. Now I've just used this brush to give the wave makers a clean, but all in all, they were actually very clean anyway. And now I'm going to use the fish net, and then I'm just going to try and scoop out a lot of the algae and leaves and so forth. It's quite common that after I've been, it's quite common for the tank to actually look worse because I disturb absolutely everything, and then we just need it to settle down. So I've disturbed lots of algae that I've cleaned off, particularly off the center bridge, and then we just go like this and try and clean out as much of it as we can. So currently there's a big pleco hiding in the sump, and he is here because they're worried about him picking on the fish. Normally plecostomus are pretty good as far as picking on goldfish is concerned, but it's not impossible. And there's lots of waste here, so I'm going to try sucking a lot of that waste out. But it's also really good just to have a fine net, because the fine nets are really great for just sucking that waste out. The other thing that you could consider doing, which is absolutely not urgent at all, is think about putting some polyfilter or some, say, JBL filter wool over the top of these marine pure balls, which can just reduce the sediment going into this area as well. Now, I'm not actually seeing a thermometer anywhere in this system, and it makes me very nervous when there's not a thermometer. So there's heaters, and the heaters will make sure the water doesn't get cold, which these fish will really appreciate. But due to there being no thermometer, I'm going to add one on now because they're very cheap, and I see them as a very necessary requirement, because you need to actually know what the temperature is, not just assume that the heater is going to keep it right, because it's probably feeling a little bit on the warm side, but I'll check that out in a second. Well, that was fun. I just pulled out the fake plants because they were looking like they need attention, and the amount of dirt that's come out from under the fake plants is nothing short of unbelievable. So obviously these tank has been very well cleaned, but now that I've got in under the fake plants, oh, there's a snail, by the way, just in case you had a snail missing, he's right there, he looks fine. So the dirt that's come out and gone through the whole aquarium is actually unbelievable. And I did get a hydrogen sulfide smell. So sometimes when I pull out fake plants and there's been a whole lot of sort of like dead bacteria in a non-oxic zone underneath the, see all that, I'm getting a hydrogen sulfide smell, and hydrogen sulfide is actually poisonous for the fish. So I'm going to put this in there right now, because the polyfilter will remove any hydrogen sulfide. So removing those plants has certainly created devastation. Anyway, easy to fix, but you need this stuff on hand because the hydrogen sulfide otherwise will jeopardize the fish and can actually make you sick too. So I'm going to recommend leaving these out here for a day or two, let the sun bleach off the algae, then flip them over, leave them for another day or two, hit them with a hose, and that should give them a little bit more life. But they will be due for replacing soon enough, because these things are a little bit disposable. They tend to last for a year or two, then they need to be replaced. So just as I was shocked that this gravel was so clean, pulling out the decorations and then soon to be under the rocks, now the water that I'm pulling out is very, very dark. So there's lots of waste coming out now, and that's pretty normal. Most goldfish tanks, all the gravel's like that. So we've got lots to clean up now. So the temperature in here is about 28, 29 degrees. So I'm scared about changing too much more water because I don't want to give the fish a cold flush. I'm going to turn the heater down as well because I really don't want the temperature this high. Now I've turned the heaters down slightly, but the heaters are actually set at a good temperature. But the temperature of the water is way higher than the heaters are set for. So it's very warm in here. So obviously the aircon being this warm is heating the tank up, not the actual heaters. So it's not the end of the world, but getting up to 30 degrees is really not ideal. So the only way we're going to regulate that is by having the room not so hot.